Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is attempting a breakout above critical resistance as the price is still playing out this short-term bullish signal as massive news just came in with Trump speaking at a Bitcoin conference, while this chart right here is flashing a massive bearish signal for Ethereum. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today, because just a couple of hours ago, we saw Donald Trump speak at a Bitcoin conference, which did indeed affect the price of Bitcoin right here, as we did see a massive scandal candle. And so first of all, while everyone was waiting for Donald Trump to come out and speak, essentially he was delayed close to an hour. And so as that was happening, we were actually seeing a bit of a sell-off here in the price of Bitcoin while Donald Trump was delayed. And that also continued as Donald Trump went a little bit off topic. He wasn't speaking a lot about Bitcoin, at least to begin with, but near the end, he ended quite strong, at least here in the price of Bitcoin. Because essentially near the end of his speech at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Donald Trump just announced that if he gets elected, he will be creating a US government strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. So basically a Bitcoin reserve for the US government. And this Bitcoin reserve will be made up of Bitcoin that the US government currently already holds anyway from previously seized Bitcoin, which is around 1% of the total Bitcoin supply, or a little over 210,000 Bitcoin that the government currently already holds. But obviously, as we saw just a few weeks ago, the German government previously held a lot of Bitcoin, but the German government basically dumped all of their Bitcoin on the market. And so essentially, if Donald Trump gets elected here, what he's saying is the US government will not be dumping any of their Bitcoin holdings. Instead, they're going to retain their Bitcoin holdings in a Bitcoin stockpile, a strategic national Bitcoin stockpile, aka a Bitcoin reserve for the US government. And so essentially, this is the early stages of Bitcoin finally becoming a reserve asset, potentially a world reserve asset, essentially an asset that governments and central banks could essentially hold in their reserves as a global asset. And so this just goes to show how far Bitcoin has come since its beginning only around 1.5 decades ago. It's come from nothing to right now in just 1.5 decades, where we're talking about Bitcoin on a global level as potentially a global reserve asset. And on top of this massive Bitcoin news today, we also had Donald Trump announcing that if he gets elected, he'll be firing Gary Gensler from the SEC. And in case you're new to crypto and you have no idea who Gary Gensler is, basically Gary Gensler is someone that's not very good for crypto at all. And so essentially overall, this was pretty bullish for the price of Bitcoin and crypto if, of course, Trump gets elected. But with that being said, getting into the Bitcoin charts today, of course, on this 3-day Bitcoin chart, we have the massive buy signal flashing here in the hash ribbons indicator, which I'll talk more about in my last video. So if you want to know more about this chart right here, then check out my last video here on the channel to find out more. But basically, ever since I talked about this buy signal flashing in my last video, since then, we've seen more bullish price action in the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term, and especially as the DXY is experiencing another very slight drop here in the short term, but ultimately over the last nearly 1 week now, it's basically been trading sideways, so we don't really have a lot of new information here in the DXY. And so if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, what we are seeing right now as of recording this video is an attempted breakout in the price of Bitcoin above this critical area of resistance sitting in between around 67,000 to around 68.3K. And this area of resistance is based on previous support and resistance here in the price of Bitcoin, and also based on the volume profile indicator showing a massive amount of traded volume right in that price range, which was acting as strong resistance. And so if we can now see a daily candle close actually confirm above this area on the price chart, then obviously that would be a very bullish signal for Bitcoin here on the daily time frame, pointing towards the continuation of this bullish trend. And especially if we can now hold this area as support, if we can flip previous resistance into new support, that is also bullish price structure. And so once again, at least as of right now, we are still trending in the bullish direction on the daily time frame, the bullish trend and momentum in the shorter term, as I've been saying since below around 60 to 61,000 right here. That is where I flipped much more bullish again on the price of Bitcoin for the trend and momentum here on the daily time frame. And obviously the price of Bitcoin just a couple of days ago managed to bounce from this exact area of support in between around 63 to 64,000, which was another bullish signal. That was a good thing for the price of Bitcoin that we actually held this area of support. Because as I mentioned a couple of videos ago here on the channel, if the price of Bitcoin confirmed candle closes below that area on the chart, then that could be a different story. Then we could start talking about a bearish trend reversal, but obviously that never happened. We bounced from that area of support, and right now we're breaking out above key resistance, which is a bullish signal pointing towards the continuation of this bullish trend. It's just in the short term, we took a little bit of a short-term cool-off or a break from the bullish trend during the bullish trend, which is also what I was talking about. Because as always, during a bullish trend, we can see some short-term pullbacks from time to time or sideways consolidations during a bullish trend, just like how during a bearish trend, we can basically see the same thing, either sideways consolidations or slight bounces back to the upside, even during a bearish trend. And so right now, if the price of Bitcoin confirms this breakout above this resistance with daily candle closes above this level and ideally confirming it as new support, if we can do that, then in that case, we have the next major resistance sitting in between around 72 to 74,000, which is really the final obstacle, the final price target before new all-time highs. And so honestly, right now, we're actually not that far away from seeing new all-time highs in the price of Bitcoin, considering this bullish trend is still active right now on the daily time frame, and especially while this signal is still playing out in the short term on the 8-hour time frame, which is what I talked about in my last video as well. I said this is a bullish signal now confirmed. Expect bullish price action, a continuation of the bullish trend. And since I said that yesterday, we've seen more bullish price action as expected. And now obviously just here over the last couple of hours, we did see a bit of a scandal candle with a quick move down and then back up again. And that was obviously with the Trump speech at the Bitcoin conference. But essentially, as of right now, the trend and momentum is still pointing in the bullish direction. And if you actually want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need to KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, over the last one day, we liquidated a lot of short positions right at around just underneath 69,000. And so now that we've liquidated a lot of those positions at around 68,500, which I mentioned recently here on the channel, as of right now, the next major area of resistance that is closest to the price of Bitcoin right now is sitting at around 69,500 to 69.7K. And so I'll not be surprised if sometime very soon, potentially over the next 1 to 2 days, we see the price of Bitcoin very soon hit those levels, once again at around 69,500, give or take. And as for liquidity to the downside, we do have a little bit of liquidity at around 66,500 and a decent amount of liquidity at around 63.3K to 63.4K. But with that being said, most of the liquidity, and considering it's very close to the current price, is still sitting at around 69,500. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH against the US dollar is still bouncing from this critical area of support, sitting in between around 3150 to 3250. And obviously this is now happening after we saw a perfect rejection from this area of resistance, sitting in between around 3550 to 3650. And so essentially the price of ETH on the daily time frame is basically within a massive sideways price range, and in the shorter term within a slightly smaller sideways price range right here. So the overall trend and momentum is actually relatively neutral, and we're just playing out a lot of choppy sideways price action, just volatility during a sideways price range. And believe it or not, you can actually make a lot of easy profits from choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a quick look at this 6-hour time frame for the price of ETH, and as of right now, we're actually seeing a continued bounce from those levels of support that I mentioned recently here on the channel. First of all, we have the golden pocket area of support on the 6-hour time frame, sitting in between around 30.50 to around 30.80, acting as support, and we also have the 50% retracement level acting as support at around 31.60 to 31.70. And we have just now seen the price of ETH here in the short term reclaim this Fibonacci level, which is the 38.2% Fibonacci level, sitting at around 32.50, currently acting as new support. And as for resistance, we should be expecting a decent amount of resistance in between around 33.70 to 33.80 approximately, based on previous support now becoming new resistance. And we also have a lot of resistance closer towards 3,500. But with that being said, if we're zooming out to the weekly time frame and taking a look at ETH BTC, this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin on the weekly chart. So basically, if this chart is bearish, it means Bitcoin is doing better than Ethereum. So Ethereum's doing worse than Bitcoin right now. Or if this chart is bullish, it means Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And so essentially how this can work in practice, not financial advice, but how this essentially would work is if this chart is bearish, it would make more sense to hold Bitcoin over Ethereum. But if this chart is bullish, it would make more sense to hold Ethereum over Bitcoin. And obviously we can see right now on the ETH BTC chart on the weekly time frame, we're seeing yet another rejection, a major rejection again from this massive descending line of resistance that has been resistance for the price of ETH versus Bitcoin for around 2 years now. And so as I've said multiple times over the last couple of months here, honestly, I would not be flipping bullish again on this chart until we at least see a confirmed breakout above this line of resistance, which as of right now is yet to happen. And in case you're wondering, this line of resistance is currently sitting at around 0.055 Bitcoin per Ethereum. And so once again, we need to see a confirmed breakout with a weekly candle close above that line of resistance and ideally above a previous high to actually start thinking about a new bullish trend on the weekly time frame for ETH BTC. And so until then, at least at the moment, we're still basically within this massive bearish trend, or basically a bear market for ETH BTC, which basically means Ethereum is underperforming against Bitcoin for the overall trend. Now, obviously, during a larger bearish trend, we can see short-term bullish moves here and there. And so essentially what that means is there might be some days here and there where Ethereum performs better than Bitcoin, but overall, over the larger picture here, Ethereum is doing worse than Bitcoin, at least over the last couple of years. And one of the reasons behind just this latest dump right here over the last half a week or so is mainly due to the Ethereum ETFs, with Grayscale still unloading a decent amount of Ethereum, as I covered just a few days ago here on the channel. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana is sitting on the edge of a major breakout above this critical area of resistance in between around 183 to 187. And so as of right now, we still really need to see a daily candle close well above 187 to actually confirm this breakout and ideally flipping it into new support. And in that case, the next major area of resistance to focus on is sitting in between around $200 to $210 based on previous resistance. And so basically, if we see a confirmed breakout well above 187, then expect to move above $200 as the most likely scenario coming in the next few days or weeks, if we can confirm this breakout first of all. And as for support, we still have a lot of support in between around 170 to 175, which we just recently bounced from, as we can see right here, and that was previous resistance. So right now, 170 to 175 is the support to pay attention to in case we were to see any rejection from this resistance. And for as long as we're holding above that area of support that I just mentioned, technically speaking, the trend and momentum on the daily time frame is still looking bullish. As I've been saying since we broke out above around 154 to 160, I'm still bullish on the trend and momentum. And since then, we have seen more bullish price action. But as I always say, even during a bullish trend, we can see some pullbacks from time to time during a bullish trend, just like how during a bearish trend, we can see small bounces back to the upside here and there during a bearish trend. And this short-term cool-off over the last 1 week, give or take, was actually needed, especially for the RSI here on the daily time frame, because we just recently entered into overbought territories close to 1 week ago now. But that short-term pullback that we saw over the last half a week to 1 week basically helped to reset the RSI even just a little bit here, which now technically gives us some more room to the upside. And so short-term cool-offs, just small pullbacks here and there during a bullish trend, is actually healthy for the trend. It creates a more sustainable bullish trend. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.